The camera's on.
It's 12 o'clock and we'll call the infrastructure committee meeting to order. Mr. Brunner will be absent. So, roll call.
Keith Fair,
Here.
Jen Reiner, here. Fred Mogle,
Here.
Dave Reeser,
Here.
and he said Steve Brunner will be absent.
Public comment.
Yes, I'm looking forward to continuing the discussion from the council. And, you know, I used an analogy with the authoritarian regimes, and no matter how I look at it, that's how it looks like. So right now we're more than $30,000 into lawyer fees to demonstrate you or your executives and craft codes, to teach them how to read the code in its essence. When other residents are allowed to have stone driveways, we're not. We're given an NOV.
Is this the driveway or is this back to the political signs? I thought
It's
it was political.
Yeah,
both.
so did I.
It's both. It's both.
Okay.
It's how you act versus critics and opponents. That's what brings the analogy to blooding in, right? The fact that there is no one rule for all. One resident is allowed to have a stone driveway, another resident is not. We've been cooperative, we said we'll do whatever. I told Craft Codes, we'll put whatever rock you want. No, he still issued an NOV. Last year when I ran for mayor, I got NOV'd for peeling paint. Do you want to know how many houses in Wyomissing have peeling paint? I'll bring you pictures. But we got NOV. And there is no transparency whatsoever as to who gets the NOV. Like I said, I get more transparency for police blotters than from NOV. This is a government investigation. So peeling paint is a government investigation, exactly like flooding. State secrets. Those are state secrets that we do not want to share with you because we target only certain people. So yes, I'm looking forward to for you to explain to me why I have to pay a lawyer that much, just so that you let us, instead of us continuing the construction, we have to stop and pay lawyers. You're doing exactly like it was done with a fence. When you told the school they're not allowed to build a fence on their own damn property. And then two entities to which we pay taxes sued each other. Right? This is what happened. No, this is what happens, is documented.
What are you driving at?
Yes.
What are you driving at? What's your
Abuse of power. Thank you very much.
All right. So, zoning codes report.
The zoning hearing board was very active last Tuesday. There were 4 hearings last Tuesday afternoon. Variances were granted for all 4 of them. Those are the ones that were not on the April report because of the timing of special exceptions and a variance were granted for all of them. The timing of when they came in versus when the hearings were. Outside of that, updates on Kraft's report regarding the political sign at 48 Cardinal Road, Mr. Jadek's property. It's my understanding not only was he granted additional time as he requested, but the sign was removed on Friday.
Not on Friday, it was on the 11th, when they said it was due.
It's removed. An update more so for you, Joe. Jana made me aware that 1536 Dolphin Avenue, the property was sold in late April. So the property owner that's listed on the report, we haven't gotten the new stub report from the county yet, but the county website might be updated already. Our policy is we have to wait for the actual stub report from the county to update, but thank you for the offer. Otherwise, everything on here is pretty self-explanatory, unless Joe, you have anything to add, or anybody has any questions?
So no notice of violation for Mr. Cullen, right?
You cannot talk at this meeting. You cannot talk at this meeting.
That's what the
anymore.
discussion was about, and I
This is
said
our
I'm
meeting.
looking forward to learn about the notice of violation on Mr. Cullen. This is what was discussed at council.
Okay, I do have a question, and ironically, it's about Mr. Jacob's property, 48 Cardinal Road. I am getting bombarded, again, still, from residents in the area. What are you doing with that property? What does he have over you, meaning council, that we're not enforcing? So I think we need publicly, on the record, steps, what has been taken and where we stand at this point, because people are fed up with the condition of that property. And it's going on
I don't know
long
what's
enough.
the problem.
We have
Go
an
ahead.
agreement. Are you gonna,
Yeah.
how do you wanna approach that?
So, first, just to, out of respect for Mr. Jadek's question, I will answer it, which is, yes, an NOV was sent to Mr. Cullen. You were both given the same time frame to comply. So Jeff Pogue did reply to you and granted you additional time. That time frame is the same compliance period that Mr. Cullen and Ms. De Niro received.
Are we on driveways or are we back to political?
That was political sign, now let's talk about the driveway.
Help me stay loose here.
And please, public comment is over, so please let me finish talking without
I
interrupting.
haven't said that.
Mr. Jadek was issued a violation notice for the driveway because not only had his permit expired, the permit that was constructed did not match the permit that he was given or that he applied for back in 2013. He indicated he was going to have an asphalt concrete driveway that is not the condition of the driveway that currently exists at his property. So Kraft's office multiple times last fall, before the violation notice was issued, asked him to simply submit a permit application stating he wanted to install a gravel driveway. We would work with him, he had a 6-month time period to finish out that work. The zoning ordinance allows for an automatic 6-month time extension at the end of that 6 months if needed. He refused to do so. So that is why the violation notice was issued, because he was not willing to work with us without violation notices or without attorneys getting involved. In terms of the open building permit for the renovations to the house itself, it is still open. It's my understanding there's some minimal work there left to do. The dumpster was removed approximately 2 weeks ago. I would like to note for the record that Mr. Jadek called me that morning to say that the dumpster did not have drainage holes in it, so when it was removed, there was water and debris that dumped down Cardinal Road, and I was more than willing to send the street sweeper out within an hour to clean that up.
Thank you.
So that is the status of where things stand. We are attempting to work with Mr. Jadek's attorney to find an amicable resolution on the driveway, at which point, when the permit is actually submitted for, the violation notice will be rescinded.
So, what do I tell these people? That I mean, I don't wanna send them all calling you, because there's enough of them. But we're just at the point that, people wanna know, when is the official action gonna take place?
I would say official action already has taken place.
Well, I mean, as far as like, to get this done, I mean, it's an eyesore, the property looks like hell, it has for years.
So I would say it's no different than any other enforcement action, which is where we attempt to resolve the issue as much as possible amicably with the owner to save the owner and the borough attorney fees. We are working through that process. The zoning hearing was continued until June 27th to allow adequate time to reach a resolution, and if that doesn't happen by June 27th, we move on with the zoning hearing board.
I have told these people that we've been trying to work
amicably,
Thank you.
harmoniously.
And at the same time, saving the taxpayers money from having this go into a court issue. But it certainly appears that we're just being taken advantage of at every possible step we can. And people are tired of it.
So I guess I'm not allowed to speak, right?
No, you're not.
So,
It sounds like they're moving through the process, and although it may be frustrating, there is a process, and they're following it, they're going by the regulations, and they're trying to cooperate the best they can. So, I don't think there's anything, I think that's what you have to tell the people that are calling you to complain, is that they're following the process like they would for everybody else.
Yeah, 10 years, been going on.
Maybe they should be made aware of the zoning hearing board bill.
Oh, I made them aware of it. Yeah. Yeah, and that keeps getting canceled
We'll
for one reason
continue.
or another.
So, okay, so that was the driveway issue. So the political signs, a notice of violation was given to both offenders. Are the rest of, are there other issues that we're not addressing, or are they all being addressed equally in terms of any noticeable violations of political signs being, I think the issue was being out of proportion?
Size.
Okay, so there, we've addressed all the ones that we're aware of.
Yeah.
Okay. So equally, they've been addressed regardless of political.
not equally.
They've been
And I
addressed.
have
They
a
don't-
say here,
Sorry, you can't,
well then,
we didn't interrupt.
you are afraid of the,
No, we're just not, we're just following the
The
protocol
debate.
of, we're just following the protocol of, we
sure,
have a public comment, and then the rest of it's
And
not
then
open for
it's
discussion, just
your
like
own-
we're not allowed to
your own
debate.
truth.
We're not gonna sit, well, we're not gonna sit and debate your truths or untruths when you're talking, because we've just been, decided not to. So at the same time, you're gonna sit and listen to us the same way we listen to you.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's the process, that's how it works, and we're following the guidelines.
okay?
Any other questions?
Anything else for craft codes?
So all I would say is, if you see a violation, let us know.
Text
And
them.
then we call it.
And it's the size is the issue, is that?
Yes,
So
so
not the
I
placement.
believe it's 6 square foot.
In
We haven't had
residential zoning districts.
Have we had a problem with the locations? Because of the last election, we had problems where they were in the malls and so on.
I've pulled a bunch from the planning strips, I believe the Public Works Department and Police Department has as well.
You don't see, I mean, it's not like it was the last time, so.
Yeah,
I see commercial signs
Yeah.
in the aisles
Yes.
of Boulevard.
Yes, and then
Like
they,
window washing and house washing and house.
yeah,
in the mall? In the
Yeah.
mall?
Yeah,
in
like
the
1400 block of Reading Boulevard,
Yep.
it's pretty bad.
Saw that today.
1600, I think it was
Yeah,
1600.
Kate Ren's sign was down. Washing sign was on.
are the borough people picking up those signs that are illegal? You say they
By
are.
borough people, you mean me, yes.
But maybe,
I mean, the public works guys know if they're driving past and they see when to grab it, but, I mean, I'm the only one that really goes out intent purpose of looking and pulling signs.
We're not allowed to, because it's theft. If we take a sign, it's theft.
well, I know Barbara, and I've taken them, I said, honey, I don't wanna go to jail. You can go to jail, but I'm not. Yeah, so you're right, be careful.
It wasn't very long.
Anything else for
Or
codes?
just coding.
Western Berks Water Authority,
The issue, the Warren Street bypass issue, we are still waiting for the PennDOT, okay. The contractor is planning on June or July to do the repair, so, the engineer is bugging, PennDOT to get the, permission, and that's all I can say, but we're aiming for June or July to make the repair. And they know it's an emergency, but that doesn't seem to matter to PennDOT, so. That's really all I have to do, comment on that. Chris, do you have anything else?
No, that's the only thing on my mind.
Okay. That's as of this morning.
okay. Water.
The Trent Avenue water main is in and operating. They still need to do all the street restoration. But other than that, all the pipe and services are in the ground. Did a good job.
Do we need to do anything? Or we
We
take?
paid, payment application number 1 was paid last Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So there's no action.
Okay. And Rawa backup water supply, you talked about that, Dave.
It's kind of one and the same.
I think, unless you're talking about Buttonwood Street too, but that's a different issue. I'm not involved with Buttonwood Street issue, but,
The plant shut down.
well, the plant shut down, that might have involved the filters, which, we're doing an engineering study right now, we have 8 filters presently. With the reconfiguration which we're considering, we might only need 4 filters. So we're re-looking at that whole situation to see, but we still have plans to do some of that, but that's probably not later on until this year sometime.
UCMR sampling.
That's unregulated contaminant monitoring rule, I believe, and I spoke about this briefly in the past. I just got a call this morning. We have hired Suburban Testing Labs to do this quarterly monitoring. They claim that they are approved by the EPA, who administers the UCMR, not Pennsylvania, but it's the EPA. And UMCR people called me this morning and said, "Where's your results?" And I said, Suburban Testing Labs took the results. I haven't seen them yet either. So there's something's going south there with Suburban Testing Labs that I need to resolve. I can't give you any more detail than that. It's not like we're violating any rules or anything. This is just looking for future regulation items. So it's not critical, but they're just looking for information.
Do you have other options?
We can do it ourselves, and they send you a package and we mail it into one of their 6 approved labs, which is what I'm gonna do. I was trying to simplify things, having Suburban do it, but apparently it didn't simplify things. So yes, we are on track to do it ourselves, basically. That's all I have on that.
Berkshire Boulevard, oh no, sorry, sanitary sewer rehab televising.
The lining work has been done, Sewer Specialties. I don't have a date when they will be back to do the cleaning, televising, and point repairs, but that will happen in the next few months.
It's a quote exceeded budgeted figure.
When he first gave me the price, it was over our budget figure. I deleted some line items to keep it within our budget figure.
Okay, good. Berkshire Boulevard pump station.
Want to speak to that?
The contractor submitted a request to modify the pre-engineered building, actually it's a pre-engineered fiberglass building, and relocate it in a different location, so we're reviewing that now. They've indicated there may be some cost savings, so we have asked them to provide full documentation of what they're proposing, and along with what cost savings would result in the borough before we would consider that.
So, cost savings on the big quote or long term?
On the big quote.
So that was originally budgeted at $750,
Right.
coming in at $736.
Right, and we don't know what the credit they'll be looking at giving if we allow this change, so.
Okay.
The building's slightly larger, we expect 10 by 14, and now it's gonna be 12 by 16 or something like that, it's a couple feet bigger.
Okay.
So we'll be, obviously, if we have credit, that's good, we just wanna look at all the details and make sure we're not compromising anything that was designed in there before we make the substitutions.
So that doesn't require a rebid or anything?
No.
does it?
No, we would issue a credit change order for that work.
Okay.
And we might do that now, or we, at the end of the job, when we do the rectifying, we could do the credit changeover as part of that, so.
Okay. West Lawn Interceptor,
I have one update on this, which is the May 16th CFA meeting is still happening, but the decision on the H2OPA grants is getting kicked to the July CFA meeting, which is when it was originally supposed to happen, so we're gonna have to hold off on hearing whether or not we're the recipient of funding for that.
and when's that supposed to start? When are we actually gonna start project?
Fallish, early 24.
No, it would be this time next year that we could start because of the DEP permitting we need.
I would like to keep repeating this, because you'll get phone calls at some point, but this fall, the Y missing interceptor, not associated with the West Lawn interceptor, will be constructed, and there will be a lot of earth movement down Old Mill Road, through the parkland, down Parkside Drive South. So just be aware that that is coming in the next 6 months, maybe, something like that.
Would it make sense at some point for us to put like some informational signs up at the trailheads, so to speak?
Yeah, yeah.
Or a newsletter, maybe.
They're not gonna read that. That's-
I read it.
And that'll be too late. I mean, the fall newsletter would be too late by the time that
There's
we're.
not a lot of residents along that.
No,
It
more,
might be just as simple
The
as setting
uproar,
something up.
the uproar will come, and what are you doing to the park?
yeah, I'm not concerned about
It'll
the,
be general in nature.
yeah. It's more the people that go there, a lot of which don't even live in the borough, just so they understand, I want advance information out, so people understand their normal walking path is gonna be disrupted.
Yeah, probably signs would be a good idea.
Yeah.
And for certain people, it's gonna appear that we just, spring just did this, and now we're coming in a year later, and
Yeah,
why didn't we
something-
do it at once, but we
Separate
can't
project.
do them at once.
Streets,
The sidewalk program, we forgot to bring the paper down. We've got, all the applications went out and marked it. I think there's 38 people in the program at this point. Jim's office is preparing the bids. Probably go out in the next few weeks, I would assume, something like that. So that's progressing.
Is that pretty much normal, 38?
The quantity, the amount of people is pretty consistent in that area. The total quantity of sidewalk is probably a little less than
So is the deadline over now?
that. Yes.
Okay.
If anybody wants to apply, it'll be on next year's, if we do next year's program.
2023 streets improvement.
The contractor is working, mostly handicap ramps and concrete work at this point. Nothing's been paved. And there is a payment application number 1.
We need to make a recommendation to council to make payment application number 1 to Construction Master Services in the sum of $28,575, and I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend to council to pay payment number, application number 1. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
And there's also a change order number 1, and this was kind of planned. The new addition to the park barn is still in stone around the outside of this new building. And we had budgeted money to pave it by adding it to the street work. We got their estimate, it's more than we thought. The change order is $47,175 to do the grading and the blacktop out there. But $25,000 of that was already budgeted in the parks 2023 budget. That makes sense.
So it's a difference of about 22,000.
So
We need action on that.
we have, so we need to revise, we need to make a recommendation to council to revise contract price to $1,367,109, which is approximately $22,000 more than was budgeted in total. That's the streets and the park.
Right.
Okay. And I'll make that motion.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend to council to approve that change order. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay.
Item C there, we did get a price from the contractor for that curbing, and it was too costly for 1020 Old Mill Road to bite off, and they chose not to do the curb work, so we are not going to do any curb work out
Okay, so I guess we can take that off
there.
there.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm seeing the Old Mill Road. I traverse the borough quite often in the old part, and there's a lot of curbing that is just broken and just lying on the side. Is that the owner's problem, or is that our problem?
Owner's
So the actual curbing, so how do we get them to do that? Because that's sort of a unique repair job.
The only vehicle we have for that now is if we are paving that street. They would get notice to replace their curb, but if we're not paving the street, we have nothing in place to address that.
You can't make them recommend that they fix the curbing. I agree with you. There is a lot of curbing that's made.
Your ordinance says that any time the public works director or borough engineer can inspect the sidewalk prior to the property owner to replace it. But historically, we've done that as part of a subdivision of land development, made them replace it, or when we're resurfacing that block, Jim goes out in advance and marks the ones that need to be taken out.
Well, it
But
would,
technically, the ordinance allows you, we've never enforced it that way.
well, it would be helpful. It's kind of it's a hazard, basically. Some of these pieces are 4 feet long and they're laying off on the side, they're actually in the street. So
Looks
if we're
like
not
hell.
gonna bring the army and fix it, we can get rid of that stuff, so at least nobody runs into the cars.
Yeah, we would need some sort of action or motion of council to,
Basically change how it's always been done. Yeah.
The problem that you're gonna run into is then you're gonna get into the varying degrees of what's bad and what's not. At least when they do it with the streets, when they're gonna pave a street, they apply a pretty consistent standard to it. I think if you're gonna start going out borough-wide and start hitting the ones that are really bad, then what constitutes really bad as opposed to just bad, and then, I think you're opening yourself up for a lot of issues.
Well, I'm talking about a sidewalk or the curb that's lying in the street, so it's not.
well, if it's detached, and lying in the street, give me a call, I mean, we'll go pick it up and get it out of the street.
At Stephen Jerry's place, there's 2 huge chunks of like 5 feet
Like
long,
empty, yeah.
lying inside, so it's pretty obvious, it's not sort of.
Well, there's a lot of big.
Oh, yeah, there are, but that's one that's so obvious, nobody would say.
Well, weren't there two that were reported in the list of, there's something about the curves.
Those are typically people that are replacing driveways and stuff. They get a permit for that.
Okay, yeah, I thought
think
there
that's
was
what
2 in the code violations that people were
We
like,
issue a
the
permit
curbs
if
are
they,
bad, and we were like, oh.
if they're affecting the driveway.
That's unusual, that we would issue an NOV for a curb.
No, there
Not
wasn't,
NOV.
it was listed like there's nothing.
So when I
It's
get
just
phone
listed
calls,
there.
they're on here now.
Oh, gotcha,
If they go over 15 minutes.
gotcha.
Well, what would happen if the neighbor would complain, hey, my curbing is bad? Would we do anything about that?
No, I mean, that's no different than what Jim just said, like, we typically only go out and actually force people to replace curb as part of a street paving project.
We don't make people replace sidewalk either,
Yeah.
they can
Well,
volunteer.
that's another issue, which I think is.
It's the same ordinance, covers both.
Yeah, there's some sidewalks that are horrible. You know, but,
Sorry, I'm holding up.
Highway lighting,
Highway lighting, Telco is waiting for some parts, I would hope in the next month, some of that will be addressed out there. Progress,
you need to bring an electrician in, or is it just telco?
it's just Telco.
PennDOT State Hill Road improvements.
So it was brought to our attention that we should discuss whether the borough wants to send a letter to PennDOT in opposition of a roundabout at State Hill Road and Penn Avenue. And I said it needed to come from borough council if we were going to consider such a request. So
I make a motion if you send such a letter.
I second that.
So there's a motion to recommend to council to send a letter emphasizing that borough
Opposition.
council is not in favor of having a roundabout at the intersection of Penn Avenue and State Hill.
I thought there wasn't enough room there without
According to
eminent
Fred.
domain.
According to Fred Lever, you're gonna have to remove a building.
What's that?
Well, they're gonna
That
have
won't
to
stop them.
They're gonna have to take a
Well, I
building.
know, they're gonna
Take
have to
some
take
building
something
down.
by eminent domain.
Yeah.
Well,
It's just-
I think the other thing that Fred said when he was here, he had that call down Piper. And Piper said to him that somebody like you should send a letter because.
right, but I need to be authorized by council to send that
I'm
letter.
sorry.
But I need to be authorized by council.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I'm not just
yeah.
writing that
So
letter.
we have a motion and a second on the floor to recommend to council to authorize McCarthy Engineering to send a letter to PennDOT in opposition of a roundabout on State Hill Road. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. So Melissa, just add that to the
Do we-
required action for borough
I
council.
saw the surveyor guys out there. Just the
Again,
other
Oh,
day.
Yeah, they've been there
Yeah,
for-
You know, they've been there for a couple,
Right at that area.
months.
Yeah,
Well, we did write a letter about 5 years ago telling them we didn't want any roundabouts on State Hill Road.
How'd that work out?
There were 2 roundabouts proposed in
There
phase
were
1.
6 or 7, but we're.
well, there's 3 or 4 or 5 of them, isn't there?
Five.
Yeah, 5.
There's 5 total that they had on the concept plan.
Oh,
Cambridge Avenue stream work.
We
Yay!
have all PennDOT clearances now. So we,
literally a miracle.
both 9 and 10 would be the same. We would need authorization to put that out to bid.
So do we need a recommendation from council to do that?
We need a recommendation.
So do we need this committee to recommend to council put it out for bid?
Yes.
So we need a motion to put to recommend to council to have the Cambridge Avenue stream work put out for bid.
So moved.
We have a motion and do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize, request that council authorize the bidding of the Cambridge Avenue stream work. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Guys have it. Wyomissing Creek pedestrian bridge, same situation.
Yes.
We have a motion to recommend the council to have them put that out for bid.
so moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Guys have it.
Can Just a question on the pedestrian bridge, you know, because it's been, what, 4 years since we really decided on what pedestrian bridge we wanted?
Mm-hmm.
Have we researched, is there anything new and improved or something we may like better? That's
Well,
come out
one of
the
me
last
says
4
we could pull stuff out of the one wants to hang myself, just getting PennDOT's authorization of the one we have.
so then we.
But
have to go
we
through the
could
whole
change it and go back through that.
No,
No,
Please no.
So,
no.
thank you.
Let's go with the
Thank you,
bridge
'cause
we
you're-
we
you're-
agreed upon 4 years
You're
ago.
gonna take 5 years off my life to have to go back through that again with them to get another pedestrian bridge approved.
No.
We can get a rendering of that bridge now, that we know that's approved.
And probably, because I don't think
Probably most people
everyone
haven't
here
seen
knows
it.
what, has seen it, so, yeah.
Cause there was 3 different variations, we kinda
Right.
took, there was like a very like, looking one and then like a super fancy, and I
We
think
went for
we
the
kinda
middle
picked the middle bridge.
Yeah,
Cause it was at a good price point, but looked nice.
yeah.
Okay, Green Light and Go program 2018.
Both of those were waiting for the last couple pieces of equipment to come in to finish up. Right, Jim? There's very little left.
Very little, and actually, the PennDOT guy was around last week, doing inspection. So if there's anything left, it is truly odds and ends, because they were going through their final inspection last week. There'll be invoices yet, but, it's mostly done.
I think we have till the end of June to submit the payment request.
So the contract bid order, we don't have to make any motion for the payment.
No, there's no action.
There's no payment
Again, I
application.
think it was last Tuesday's council meeting, we took action on.
And that's the same situation for the number 12 Green Light and Go program for 2019. So no action required there either. Okay. All right, well, Michelle, do you want to give us an update on this?
Sure, the second to last bullet point is kind of the summary of what's going on within the past week or two, which is, the chief and I have been working with Meister Cox to develop floor plans for fit out of 1011 North Park Road. Belair's Real Estate was out to appraise that property and 555, 575 Van Reed within the past week. I expect I'll have those appraisal reports within the next week or so. And Craft Municipal Group was out last week to do a walkthrough of 1011 North Park Road to prepare an inspection report, and I expect I'll have that within the next few days. The other piece is we do have revised plans for the Public Works Garage as well as a revised cost estimate, so give me one.
Meister Cox is going to do some cost estimates as part of their study
Yes,
as well, right?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, I looked at the Public Works, I mean, that's like low, oh, you know, drawing up there.
So here's the actual site plan. I mean, you can see it's scaled back from the other version that was to cost, I think, close to 9 million. Jim and Jim, do you wanna go over what these revisions do? compared to-
It's basically shrank, the building will still have the office space, but it'll be slightly smaller. And, it'll be 3 bays, one will be a wash bay, 2 bays will be mechanics bays, basically. Yeah, it's just a scaled back, and a new salt shed, the salt shed is still in.
And one floor instead of
Eliminated
two.
the second floor of the office, which eliminated the stair towers and the elevator, eliminated all the work in the existing building. The building size dropped by about half. We eliminated the police evidence storage in that mezzanine.
There'll be no police evidence, yeah.
Then there's a small mezzanine in the first bay for storage of non-combustible, non-office materials, and obviously the site work is extensively come down with only having the salt storage shed, eliminating the other 4 external material storage sheds, eliminating the driveway up to the dump heading towards Ducom. I guess I don't know a better name for it, but where we dump. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if I could have 2 minutes to show, it's been a while, and some of you probably never even saw some comparison photos. I'd like to briefly go through these. Both Coomer Township and Shillington in the last 10 years.
I can't open them, I don't know why. So I think I have this, hold on 1 second. I think I have them somewhere else.
Jim, while she's doing that, so when you originally did it and we put it out and it was, turned out to be 9 million compared to 4 or 5 that we originally thought, of this new design, what are you not getting that you thought you were getting before, and what are you not getting that you really wish you would have got?
We're losing, obviously, garage floor space, police evidence. We're losing outside covered storage. And we're losing, the existing lunchroom and locker rooms are going to be refurbed and repurposed, with some interior construction. Those are the things we're missing. With the new design, the way we put it on the property, if we wanted to expand more space 5 years from now, it would be easy
Okay,
to add to it.
All right, so
Yes,
that was
we've
my
taken
next
that into
question, is it-
consideration.
Okay, but aren't they getting new locker rooms now? I mean, with the new plan, they're not getting refurbished?
Yes. we'll
Okay,
be
they
getting
are.
New locker rooms,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
And new lunchroom areas, that,
Yes,
which is what
exactly,
you wanted.
yeah.
So that was my other question, so the design as it exists now does have the capability of adding on for either some covered areas or
Yes,
down the
yeah,
road?
it does.
All right, doesn't limit us from,
No.
this is not our final blueprint,
No.
it could be a stepping stone.
No, you could finish out, you could later add the second floor above the offices and the end of the building where we moved the salt storage building, used to be against the Public Works building. We moved it away because all we have to do is take the skin off of that eastern end of the building
You go from
there
there.
and expand. It's basically set up to be expandable in 25-foot structural bays. You know, as you would need in the future, you could add 25 feet, 50 feet, you know, however, as time goes on. And then you could add a second floor to the office later. You'd have to add stair towers and elevator, but it's possible.
So Berkey Construction's estimate was
2.8.
2.8 to 3. Is it?
2.5 to
2.5.
3.2, I think was their range at the bottom right.
So what happened the last time we put this out, we thought it was gonna be 4,
And it came in at
It
almost
came in
7.
at,
You made it 6.8,
yeah.
right.
I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt to put it out again.
I mean, you have to design it.
Right.
You know, but, sure.
And what would our cost estimate be to design it?
I'd have to go back. I didn't ask anybody that. I didn't know if we were moving forward, so, but I can have that for next month's meeting.
I mean, I think this is one of those areas that we know there's a definite need, and at some point it's gonna need to be addressed.
Actually, do you wanna do it in your report of council? Just
Uh,
take a
can
look.
Yeah, I could add that to my report of council. I mean, I think we're talking probably, because a lot of it's staying the same. So I think it's probably, it's under a $50,000 number, I would think, so.
I mean, it's,
Well, we can
it's
find out.
something that at some point in time needs to be done, so.
Well, is there anything to be said for the main project, which is the police thing that we're looking at now with all these buildings and what's going on there? And how those improvements and the cost of those improvements might impact what you could borrow that you might have to do there to move over
I
here?
think
So
so.
that estimate might be a little off-center.
Well, but the problem is that until we get actual cost, I'm just concerned if it comes in the same way the last time, where we thought it was gonna be 4 and it turned into 7. Until we actually spend the time and the money to go out and bid it, we're never gonna know. I think this is a far more doable project. We're not gonna do a $7 or $9 million project, we can't afford to do it. But this probably, considering that we've got a $3 million grant that we have matching funds, I mean, we could allocate, you know, as we talked about, you know, we were looking at doing both these projects at some point. We know they both have to be done, so we may as well, I mean, my feeling is, who's that?
Kinda have.
That looks nice.
That was good.
That's
That was.
I'm gonna get to the inside, they're not in order here.
So here's our building.
There should be some inside, keep going. That's our salt shed, that's our salt shed. That's Kumru's part of their bathroom,
That's their eyewash.
their locker room. There's our bathroom. And I'm telling you, it's not like I zoomed in,
That's it.
that's what I can show you.
Jen's seen it.
Yeah, that's our locker room. There's their Kumru's mechanics bay. There's our mechanics bay. That's Kumru's office. That's Shillington's office. That's our office.
Right, regular hanger.
This is the inside garages. That's Kumru. Keep going. That's Kumru.
Jeez.
Keep going, this is what I'm telling you. That's Muhlenberg under construction. That's us. So, I'm just trying to impress upon the need for honor.
I think that,
P-
there we
pictures
got
suggest
it. Like I said, I think it's a necessary project. We know we're gonna have to face it at some point in time, but we're never gonna know what it's gonna cost until we do it. So, I mean, and Jim McCarthy, at least, I maybe come back to council and give a recommendation as to what you think the cost would be to design it, so we can put it out for bid, because until we put it out, we don't know what the cost is gonna be.
Right.
You know, we were pretty far off the last time, extenuating circumstances with COVID and everything, material shortages. I think a lot of that has eased at this point,
Yeah.
so I don't think we're faced with the
Stabilized.
same situation we did before. But at some, we have to move on with the project, it needs to be done.
Just make a smile.
No, I will,
That's music
I'll have
to
that in
his
my
ears.
report, and I can share it with Sean for him, I'll put it in my report for council, so.
And then as long as you or Steve are is willing to make the motion, and we make sure it's on the agenda,
Yeah.
someone would have to make it.
Yeah, so the process would be a design.
Redesign, shrink the old design down, make the changes, and then put it out for bid, so it's probably something, where we probably have bids in hand August council, maybe July infrastructure for August council, for a timeline.
And Jim and Greg, I think when they do that, although we wanna try to do it as cost consciously as possible, if there is something in that design that you are gonna really kick yourself 6 months from now and said, why didn't I ask for this? I'm not asking you to add to it, but I'm asking you not to come back in 6 months and say, gee, I wish we would've done that.
Well, the process is kind of reversed, where we sat down a couple months ago after discussions, how are we gonna cut this thing?
Right.
And it took a lot of slashing to
Oh,
cut.
I'm sure it did, but at the same time, if there's some environmental issue, or there's some ADA compliant, or there's some other component of this that we're gonna be sorry that we didn't incorporate for $50,000. Let's address it now, let's not wait, is all I'm saying.
And if you're interested, we staked out the 4 corners of that reduced size building, or actually staked at Public Works, so
See it.
you can actually
Where it
see
would
where the
sit.
building would sit, if anybody wants to see. Find the stakes with the orange ribbon, there's 4 of them, that's the corners.
For what it's worth, Jim and I, along with Kathy Bruder's office, will be taking Representative Cepeda Freitas on a tour of that facility and some other borough facilities on Wednesday.
Don't hang up your jacket.
Wednesday,
What other facilities?
wherever she wants to see.
Oh,
I don't know, I'm leaving it up to
Take
her.
her through the police department.
I can do that.
Okay, anybody else wanna have anything else to discuss about that subject? Why missing trailblazing signage?
Jim, this is all you.
So PennDOT has approved the scaled down version of this with a couple little minor. They approved getting rid of the extra signs as long as we put these no truck signs.
These.
Yeah, I think we cut out like 15 or 18 and they added back like 4. So I know Steve was concerned about the number of signs out there. I think there's 1, 2, 3, there's 2 down there. isn't
No, don't see
there?
it.
And actually, Jim, I don't know if you saw it, somebody ran over this sign on the island last night, or over the weekend, at North Wyoming Missing and 4th. The signs,
North Wyoming missing.
the pork chop island, there's like
They
somebody's,
tend to be vulnerable if they're on those triangles.
and it was somebody's fender is on the sign, it's not clear.
Okay.
I forgot to tell you that earlier.
So,
We can go ahead with the signage if we would like, and we have the funds out of the VF, North and Wawa pool of post-traffic study improvement, dollars that this is directly funded for, if we want to approve putting the signage out there.
I guess we have no choice, right?
No, we have a choice.
I don't have a choice, you don't have to put any of them out, if you don't want.
Put all those signs at that one
And
area.
they cut down on the lot.
It's like Disney World.
Well, I mean, you have a blow up of like, 4 of those signs
4-block
are on
radius.
they're on one post.
And you're also going all the way from, like, this is Hill Avenue up to North Wyomissing Boulevard, so this is about a quarter to a half a mile stretch condensed on this plan.
It looked even worse before
Yeah,
we
Yeah,
had
there was,
15 signs.
It was-
there was a lot of signs
It
there.
did look like, even
This time's
before I
20.
did it. So what do we need? We need to recommend to council to approve the new signage package.
Yep.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
Also,
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to recommend to council to approve the new sign package. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Guys have it. Does anyone have any old business to be brought before the committee? Anybody have any new business to be brought?
I have an item.
Okay, Ron?
I was wandering around the borough the other day and found something that looks a bit out of place. If if you come down Lake to the intersection of Penn Avenue, and you're stopped there in the morning, and you wanna pull out to go left to Lancaster.
Good luck.
Yeah.
The reason you can't do that is because because the bus sign is too far down on the south side. South side to the right. The bus sign is 60 feet down, meaning that people, and the sign goes that way toward Reading, so that people can park cars from where the bus sign is all the way back to Lake. And on the left side, going the other direction, on the same side, there's a giant tree that stops you from seeing anything. And right beyond that is traffic. So when you're pulling out of there in the morning, it's anybody's guess. If you step on the gas this way, you might miss the guy on the right, but the guy on the left is gonna get you. So I think those signs need to be, for certain, the sign on the right, which is at the bottom of the lake, that needs to be removed. The bus sign has to be from the beginning of the intersection this way, and not the bus sign 50 feet down, because people park there, and the bus is beyond it. So we can take a look at that, but that was something I thought was.
Just go to Forest.
What's that?
Well, Forest isn't a lot better.
No, but it's something, yeah.
Nor is Wyoming, nor is that.
I mean, they're all,
No, they're
They're all
all.
taking a left out of there, it's taking a right to the road. Yeah.
Good luck,
Lake's the worst.
good
Well,
luck.
I did look at them, and all of the others, in all fairness, so I didn't go over them. There is sufficient space to get out in most places.
So-
This one, if you're at the bottom of the lake, you're looking at a car right here.
That's true.
That's the one where if you have
So
some
who would look
room,
at?
you can look out. But that's,
I mean, what's the request? You wanna restrict parking?
You just look at it,
Well,
and make a recommendation, just like, got a clear side triangle or a better one.
Do you wanna push parking back from Lake?
Cause I mean, in that
Toward
case,
the
that would be
1300
FP.
block? Because
And
that-
keep this in
Or it's a
mind,
state
keep
route.
this in mind too, this is a problem for us all the time, especially in leaf collection, that with all those dentist office businesses on Penn Avenue, there's not enough parking on Penn Avenue, so they use Lake Forest, Wyoming. They even use Delaware Avenue for parking for those Penn Avenue businesses, so if you restrict parking,
Yeah.
well, all I'm saying is if you move the traffic, I'm not a traffic mover, and I'm not in the fire department or the police department, they can figure it out. But if you move 2 cars down, bring the bus sign up, that means nobody will park there because it's a bus area. So if you're not restricting anything, there's already a bus laid there, but the bus can't even get in there because he has to slow down at Lake to get around the 2 cars that are parked there to pull into the bus stop, which is usually when you're coasting into a bus lane, you're not going around traffic to pull in. But you got,
You would send the bus stop should lose close to Lake.
yeah, and that would eliminate those.
And who does that? Is that a police thing, is
I
that?
could move it tomorrow.
Is that a Florida thing?
I don't know if that is a large commission or not.
No, I don't know, but you should look at that yourselves, because it's an odd situation, but one, every morning when I pull out there and other people do, you either go for it and hope nobody's coming the other way, or,
I made a suggestion, don't go that way.
okay. All right.
Rock it Lake.
There we have it.
well, you know, you bring up those signs, but at Forest Avenue also, and that would be the southeast side. That, where there's no parking here to corner, but that has been that way ever since the fire station was there. There's no reason that no parking sign can't be removed and people be able to park up to the curb.
You're right at Do-si-Do, crossing Do-si-Do.
Yeah,
No, those no parking here to corner are there for when people are trying to pull out, that there's not a car there.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Well, that's the same story, different side of the street.
Yeah.
yeah,
Different end.
yeah.
Sounds like this ought to go to fire police.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay. Why don't we move this over to fire police? And we're gonna move it back. Is there any other old business, or anything for new business?
Wasn't there some, given that Park and Shade can't get 3 people to come to 4 meetings a year on a consistent basis, there was some thought about making something like Park and Shade a subcommittee of infrastructure. Will that be discussed by infrastructure?
When you say a subcommittee, what's the difference if you have a committee or a subcommittee? They don't show up for the committee, why do they
No,
show up for a
I wouldn't have the
subcommittee?
same people. I would not have, I'm sorry, if you can't come to 4 meetings a year, you shouldn't be on commission.
I don't disagree with that, but,
I think she's just saying, make it part of this group, but
Yeah.
we decided as a group,
Because it,
but we just,
on top of that, they do nothing, as far as I can tell.
So how do you follow it?
Don't, you just get rid of the
it is
commission.
technically, it is technically
We'd
infrastructure.
have to have
yeah, it is
recommendation
quite
of
interesting.
council to
Absolutely.
repeal the
Absorb.
ordinance creating the commission.
Yeah, we determined that it was a May, it doesn't have to happen.
Right.
I would be all in favor of that. Too ridiculous for, exercise.
So what you do, just incorporate it into this meeting?
Yeah.
This
The
is a giant,
information, yeah.
agenda.
I mean, I've been to 2 of the meetings. One of them, there would have been 3 at the time I was appointed, and one of them got canceled because there wasn't enough people.
There wasn't a.
There's
January
rarely
was
enough
the
people, and there's not a lot of discussion. There's not a lot of interactive, there's not a lot going on over there.
So if we're gonna do that,
We
why,
listen to you and
We
that's
just
about
add
it, and then it's over.
Yeah, what say, Jim's, the
Yeah.
same people
I
who were reporting.
I don't know if the committee is needed, but we'd have to keep the name somehow as part of, in this committee, because not often, but I think a lot, some of like to be Tree City USA, occasionally we'll get some grant money to plant some trees or something. You do need to have a commission or a committee to do some things like that.
so why
But we
can't,
surely don't need to sit there 4 times a month and.
Year.
Yeah,
a
here.
I think
year
it'd just be a sub, like, street, sewer, water,
Right.
yeah.
parks
just
and
make it-
trees.
Yeah.
Just make it an agenda item.
An agenda, yeah,
Make it
yeah.
an agenda item and call it the infrastructure / park committee.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the things that they're ultimately making recommendations to council on, like deer, like park bench program, I think really deserve the attention and focus of a more structured committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we have to do, Chris, just
Tree.
not appoint it next year, or, start up again for next year, or?
We will need to repeal the ordinance that created the Park and Shade Tree Commission and assign a subject matter to this committee, because, we also have, I think we have these committees with a little bit of a description about their subject matter responsibility, so, I think the first thing would be a recommendation to the council to, eliminate Park and Shade Tree and to transfer the jurisdiction of the committee to the infrastructure committee.
But before we do that, I think you gotta let the people on that commission know is what it is we have.
Or
in
should we
mind.
make it effective in the end of 2020?
That's what I was.
That's it.
Their next meeting is not till July.
Yeah, because everybody's term is up at the end of the
So
year.
make it effective at the end of this year and notify them.
That I'm fine, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Recommendation.
We're making a recommendation to council to disband the Park and Shade Tree Committee.
You gotta amend the agenda first, because you're voting on something that's not on the agenda.
Not expand it, to eliminate it.
To absorb it.
You're right.
Eliminate.
Well,
To eliminate.
You're not on the committee, right?
Not
I'll
expand.
make a
And then,
motion
but
to
then
amend the
expand
agenda.
infrastructure.
Right, yeah, right.
All right.
That's germane.
We have a motion and a second to amend the agenda to discuss the potential disbanding and consolidation of the Park and Shade Tree Committee into the Infrastructure Committee effective January 1, 2024.
So I'm so moved.
Right, second.
Public comment about that subject.
Yes. What does that, because the requirements are, well, I guess it wouldn't matter what the requirement, there's so many councils, so many. If we push this onto the infrastructure,
We're not,
we're not abided by those same requirements?
we would no longer have a commission just for shade tree.
Okay.
So,
A while back, we had a rather robust discussion about Jim's house and people coming on board to beautify Wyomissing from a horticultural perspective. Is that where this stuff would go then, if you get rid of the Park and Shade Tree Commission? This guy or gal becomes sort of flopping out there as an arm of what we're doing. They don't really have
It
a,
always is an arm, it always was.
well, but
They
it was,
can't do
it was,
anything without.
They just come to this committee
infrastructure
versus
anyway.
going to,
Parking.
well, what I was gonna say is if there's active people that see wildflowers and this and doing this over here and that over there, might be something that could stand alone if you have someone in charge of doing just that, as opposed to,
That's just part of the infrastructure.
Yeah, thanks.
They'd have to go to council anyway, it has to either go someplace. so-
And if anything, keeping it at infrastructure keeps it moving, cause you meet monthly instead of quarterly,
Right,
so.
Or not.
And yeah, and I think right now some of the issue too is there's such a lag between meetings that what were we talking about?
Yeah.
well, yeah, and that held up a lot of the stuff with the,
Here.
with the circle. And, you know, Centennial Circle, because they only meet quarterly. And it was between them and this committee.
okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to.
You didn't
recommend
finish with the
council.
public comments.
We did, I said, do you have
No,
public
no.
comment?
Yeah, but I allowed the other people to speak.
Oh, okay,
Will was saying.
go ahead.
Frankly, I think that making the number of committees smaller is not the way to go. It's concentrating power in the hands of, which is already, you're just council people here. And I think that,
No, I'm
why
a
miss it,
resident.
may I finish? Like for example, I'd be glad to be on the Park and Shade Committee, nobody asked me. So I think that reaching out to the community and getting more people involved is the way to go. Instead of just why don't you just make council meeting, that's it, and let them deal with everything. So that's my 2 cents. I know you probably don't agree with this, and in terms of when they need to meet, there are ways to meet. We have Zoom calls, we have other ways to do. And we can, if you need discussion about the Centennial Circle, fine, let's convene it whenever it's needed. There are ways to do it. We need to get more people involved, not less people involved. That's my 2 cents, thank you.
Okay, Jen? You want to say something?
Oh, I'm a resident, I'm not a council member, as far as this
I
committee
know.
goes. Right, well, you had stated that they were all
Yeah, but you're
council
the only
members.
one,
Right, on
and that's
infrastructure,
it,
there's only one.
and that's
person,
it,
that is
and
correct.
that's it. And my point was
So
to
maybe
have
we
more
could
people.
change that and add 2 more residents
one or two.
on
Well, I
the
think,
infrastructure.
how many do we
committee.
have for infrastructure?
5.
No, but I mean, isn't one always have one?
It's always one
Yeah,
resident.
at large, yes,
Yes.
Well, it used to be too, because before I was on council, I was on infrastructure through representing the water authority.
Well, that was
So I was on
before,
council.
before you became council.
Yeah.
that's
Well,
when
yeah,
Jen
you were
went
the
on.
resident
that's
also,
when- then Jen went on.
representing water.
So there's still only
Oh,
one.
is
Yeah.
there only still one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then it was one, and Jen was
Right.
on.
That can be changed too.
There's nothing to say you can't have 2, right?
Yeah,
Or-
we could
Or
add
any
one
number.
resident. I just, as a member of the Park and Shade Commission,
One borough
there's very
resident,
little
four
activity
four
happening.
must be
There's
council.
not enough, you know,
Four.
now if you can
Four.
find the portion
Must be
control
council.
people on there, maybe they can make some things happen, but,
But you know, if you can't
It's
get them there
still-
4 times a year, how you gonna get them there 12?
right.
And the issue's gonna be
It's not
that,
gonna work.
the issue's gonna, it all comes to the infrastructure anyway, and then it
Right.
all goes to council.
Right.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to recommend to council that we do the legal stuff that requires to disband the Park and Shade Tree Commission. And it'll be consolidated in the infrastructure committee as of January 1, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have
So much for public comments.
it. No, we did the public comment.
No, how much you care about the public comment.
Doesn't mean we have to agree.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Michelle, do you just wanna, I had, just for the transparency's sake, we had a complaint from a resident about the garbage truck running over the curb and breaking the curb at the corner of the alley at
the Lake
Gerard on
Avenue
Lake.
alley, yes.
The guy sent us pictures and so on, and Michelle forwarded them on to Mascaro. Apparently the alley is narrow and the big trucks are coming through and they're cracking the curb. And he said he eventually is gonna be responsible to replace the curb. But because the trash trucks are doing the damage, it doesn't seem to be fair that he's gonna be responsible for it.
Good point.
So, let's pass that on to Mascaro, and
They did reply and said that they are opening a claim with their office
that's
manager.
right, I went back and told him that,
Yep.
that somebody would be in touch with him, or at least
Yep.
be aware.
Now I make a motion.
Now we have a motion to adjourn,
Second.
motion second,